So it's a complex topic, but I wish I would have handled it up front.
We can do different things. It's going to be it's going to be fresh.
Queen wasn't just a band. They were a global phenomenon. With electrifying performances, genre-defining anthems, and a frontman like no other, they became one of the most legendary groups in rock history. But while their music changed the world, their financial journey is just as mind-blowing. Imagine making millions from a single song or owning a music catalog worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That was Queen's reality. From record-breaking albums to sold-out stadium tours and billion-dollar licensing deals, their paychecks weren't just massive, they were historic. But how exactly did they build their financial empire, and what were their biggest earnings? In this video, we're uncovering the shocking salary that made Queen one of the richest bands in history. Stick around because the numbers will leave you speechless. Before they were international rock legends, Queen was just another struggling band trying to make a name for themselves. Formed in 1970, the lineup of Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor and John Deacon had a clear vision: create music that was larger than life. But success didn't come overnight. Their self-titled debut album in 1973 laid the foundation, but it was their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, 1974, that put them on the map. Featuring the hit Killer Queen, it sold over 4 million copies worldwide, earning them their first multi-million-dollar paycheck. But this was just the beginning. Then came A Night at the Opera, 1975, an album that changed everything. With its groundbreaking production and the iconic Bohemian Rhapsody, it became a global sensation, selling over 6 million copies and generating tens of millions in revenue. But if you thought this was massive, just wait until you hear about the record-breaking album sales that followed. Queen didn't just sell records, they dominated the music industry with album sales that brought in hundreds of millions of dollars. Their rise to superstardom was fueled by a string of legendary albums, each contributing to their ever-growing financial empire. A Night at the Opera, 1975, changed everything. With the monumental success of Bohemian Rhapsody, this album sold over 6 million copies worldwide and generated an estimated $30 million in revenue. It was a defining moment for the band, but their success was only getting started. Then came News of the World, 1977, featuring two of the most recognizable rock anthems ever, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. This album went on to sell over 10 million copies, raking in $40 million for the band. The Game, 1980, took Queen to new heights, thanks to chart toppers like Another One, Bites the Dust and Crazy Little Thing Called Love. With over 10 million copies sold, this album alone earned them $50 million in sales and royalties. And then there was Greatest Hits, 1981, a game-changer. This best-selling album in UK history has moved over 25 million copies worldwide, bringing in an estimated $150 million, making it one of the most profitable albums of all time. Even after Freddie Mercury's passing, Queen's albums continued to sell. Made in Heaven, 1995, brought in $20 million, proving that their music remained timeless. But if you thought these album paychecks were massive, just wait until you hear how much they made from individual hit singles. Queen's singles weren't just legendary, they were financial goldmines. From stadium anthems to timeless rock ballads, their hit songs have generated hundreds of millions of dollars through sales, streaming, and licensing. Let's start with the one that changed everything, Bohemian Rhapsody. Since its release in 1975, this masterpiece has earned Queen an estimated $100 million in royalties alone. It saw a major resurgence in 1992, thanks to Wayne's World, skyrocketing back onto the charts and adding another $25 million to its lifetime earnings. And when the Bohemian Rhapsody biopic was released in 2018, the song became the most streamed track of the 20th century, driving millions more in revenue. Then we have We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, two songs played in nearly every sports arena worldwide. Between radio play, commercial licensing, and global streaming, each song has raked in over $30 million in revenue, cementing their place as two of the most profitable rock songs ever written. And who could forget Another One Bites the Dust? This funky rock anthem became their best-selling single in the US, selling over 7 million copies and earning more than $20 million in sales and royalties. Meanwhile, Radio Gaga turned into an instant crowd favorite, bringing in $15 million since its release. Other major hits like Somebody to Love, Killer Queen, and Don't Stop Me Now have collectively pulled in over $80 million, thanks to streaming, licensing, and continued airplay. Even deep cuts and fan-favorite tracks like Crazy Little Thing, called Love and Under Pressure, with David Bowie, have earned millions in royalties, proving that Queen's catalogue is one of the most valuable in music history. But if you thought these single paychecks were impressive, just wait until you hear how much Queen made when they took their music to the stage. Queen wasn't just a studio band, they were a touring powerhouse. Their legendary Hot Space Tour, 1982, grossed over $20 million, a massive amount at the time. Then came the Magic Tour, 1986, their biggest tour ever, which sold out stadiums across Europe and grossed $60 million. Freddie Mercury's final tour with the band, it cemented their status as one of the highest-grossing live acts in history. Even decades after Freddie Mercury's passing, Queen's financial empire has only grown. In fact, their posthumous earnings are some of the highest in rock history, continuing to generate hundreds of millions of dollars through catalog sales, licensing, and new business ventures. One of the biggest paydays came from the Bohemian Rhapsody biopic in 2018. The film grossed $910 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing music biopic of all time. The band reportedly earned $90 million from its success, not including the massive surge in music sales and streaming revenue it created. Speaking of streaming, Queen has become one of the most streamed classic rock bands in history. With billions of plays on platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, their estate earns an estimated $50 million per year just from digital royalties. Another massive financial move, the potential sale of Queen's music catalogue. Reports suggest the band's catalogue is valued at over $1 billion, making it one of the most lucrative in music history. If sold, it could set new records for artist catalogue sales. Merchandising and licensing deals continue to bring in tens of millions annually. From official Queen merchandise to music featured in movies, commercials, and Broadway productions like We Will Rock You, their brand remains as powerful as ever. Meanwhile, streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music have introduced Queen's music to new generations, bringing in millions in passive income every year. Queen wasn't just a legendary band, they were a financial powerhouse. From record-breaking album sales to sold-out world tours and billion-dollar licensing deals, they built an empire that continues to generate hundreds of millions of dollars to this day. Now, we want to hear from you. Which legendary singer or band would you like us to cover next? Do you want to see the mind-blowing paychecks of Elvis Presley, Mariah Carey, or the Beatles? Drop your suggestions in the comments, and we might feature them in our next video.